Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And it's Monday, it's April 25th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And it's not even quite 3 o'clock yet, but it's well after the 2 o'clock cutoff, and there's just not much happening today. So I'm going to go ahead and do the review and wrap this day up. Wasn't a great trading day, but there was a few decent trades here. Most of them are all at your key entry points, like they almost always are. And if you just waited till things happened at the key entry points, you'd probably um, do better than anything on your trading. But sometimes you got to be really patient for that, and people have a hard time with that. People are constantly looking for entries the whole way. When if you just wait and you got to, once you read the chart, if you figure out where things are happening at and what's going on, and you just wait for prices to come back to those locations, it takes patience and it takes what I call intestinal fortitude to be able to sit there and watch prices until they get back to those places. But look at where all the big moves came today. Off this trend line, there were two big moves. Actually, a third move is not a big move, but it was still a move. Um, it was also a failed break above this little. There's a little trading range. We just went into a trading range down here, so you had to be really, really patient. All this is a failed break out of that. It turned down right off the trend line. Again, here's another failed break lower at a key entry point. And then your next trade, where is it? Off that main trend line working higher, key entry point. Coming down off that trend line, key entry point. Once again, you had another trade right here off this main trend line, key entry point. So that's where everything happens. That's where all the magic happens at these key entry points. And you'll hear me say that over and over and over. So but let's back out, talk about the trades, and like I said, it won't take long to get through today. Um, we actually had a trend working up here. And normally you would want to see a retest of this high, but if it's a range day, you may not. You may not always get a retest. We didn't get one off of this trend working up. We actually had a close outside of here and a new high, and we really just made a double top here, and that's where pretty much the resistance was left over from Friday, and we turned down there. There's a failed second entry long there that would have been a good place to go short, but that was just after 6 o'clock, so we didn't really get a setup till 8 o'clock. And notice what happens here. We shoot and we push right through that EMA. We come back, we pull back, and we make a little. We got a negative bar. You can't go long there. When it breaks higher and turns down, just go have your stop already here, and then I'd move it up below this bar. Quick, easy scalp. You'd hope you'd get a measured leg down, but we don't. It pulls back. It corrects from there. It looks like the range is going to be here. We never even get back down to here again today. But then notice what we got here. We got a channel working up. We get a little close outside here and a couple of legs up, but all you needed was this trend line right down through here, and you got this resistance, and you get that little one tick up and it fails. You can almost, I really don't like going short right there. Uh, you could go ahead and enter right there if you wanted, but what I like is waiting for here and just either try a limit order or just put a stop there. But as bearish as that is right off that trend line, you better just put a stop because it didn't back up very far, and then it's off to the races. And then that's when I would have looked. When we started lower in there again, I would still look for a measured move from here because we didn't get one here. And sometimes when you get that third leg, it's going to be equal to the first leg. And you can see it's real close there. Just measure this one as well and see just how it compares. And that one's a little short, but I would have used this one over here. But that was a nice move. Quick, easy move, and then we come back, and we come right back, and it's almost a repeat of that. You're moving up, you get the close outside, you push to a new high, and we turn down right off that trend line. Just go short right there, or let it break lower and try to use a limit order. I just go short. We're way away from this low here. Another quick, easy move. There's a breakout pullback short right here. It's tempting. But I don't think I'd go short right across those lows right there. You do get a failed second entry long here, which again is just kind of a little breakout of that little matching bottoms and those lows across there. I drew that one green. It is right off that. This looks like a little spike in channel on a shorter term pattern there. And so, but you're going short at the within a tick of the low of the day. So I just think it's really risky. I don't. It is a trap. It does fit our criteria with that exception. It is off a key entry point. So it's probably, if you want to be aggressive, you're probably going to take that. But I think you're better off to wait. And then we just went sideways here. I mean, it just was nothing happening. I mean, that's about as slow as I've seen it in a while there. But we're going sideways, and guess what? You get a failed break, and where does it turn down? Right off that trend line to the tick. Look how bearish that is. Just go short there. And I just look to exit here. I wouldn't even try to get a runner most likely. You know, it may push on through there, but if it starts bouncing, I'm exiting any runners I've got as well, and I'd probably just scalp out in full there. And it does come back over and give you a second entry short, but look, you got to go short right into that. You're better off to wait and see if you get along. And guess what? It pushes through, it fails instantly, and you get a nice long there. Okay, I had a slight interruption, but notice how we got all that support. You know, the worst thing in the world is to go short right here. Every once in a blue moon, it'll break through somewhere like that and take off, and you'll get another leg down. But most of the times, even if it's going lower, it's going to snap back first. And so the play here is to always, if you're going to enter, is to fade these, just like you faded it out the top. But of course, the trend's down, and that's the problem you got here. But once you've been going sideways that long, this is a trading range, and most likely you're going to come back, even if you're going to go lower. And you're going to come back to the trend line. You're definitely going to come back and test this, and probably come back and test this other, and maybe break out there before it goes lower. I really thought maybe we might go lower from here. But this is a nice chance to get long. This was a quick, easy move that give you a few points on a runner if you took one. And this is where I always try to, this is one of the key areas where I like to catch a runner. Because if you do catch one here, sometimes you catch the low of the day and you catch a runner, and this thing will run and run and run. And even here, it would have run for, several points if you want to hang on to it. But once we backed up here, I probably would have exited and looked for another entry. But this was a nice setup right here. And most people are probably thinking, why didn't I want to go short here? And you're just thinking completely backwards. And most people want to be going long here. But at this point, you definitely didn't want to be going long. You want to failed break lower before you get long. There's actually a failed second entry short with a nice bullish bar here, but notice how it couldn't break above it, and then it drops lower again. And so you might have considered going long here, but I wouldn't do it into that resistance. I mean, it did break a little bit lower than that double bottom. So, I mean, that's a possibility to go long, trying to catch it back to the trend line. So, and it would have worked, but I'm not even going to circle it green. I just think you're better off to wait and look for the short, and you got it right there. And then you get the nice setup long here. And guess what? It's moving up. You get a close outside, a move to a new high. And once again, look at all those matching highs right across there. You just got another failed break higher after a trend line breaking a new high. And you're looking for prices to try to come down here and make a new low. And again, that's a nice setup. You get a double bottom here. Actually, I circled the wrong one there. This is supposed to be here. And you actually could have added on here. Actually, I really didn't circle the wrong one. They should both be circled. There's a failed second entry short here. It is into that double top, so this one I'd probably mark it green instead. And then when it went lower again, because this is a new low, and that's like a higher double bottom, that's the one you really, and it's a breakout pullback long as well. So that's the better entry to enter here. And this one took off really quick. A lot of the shorts started exiting. They got trapped here, and you can see how quickly it moves. Notice how each of those bars opens on its low and closes on its high almost. So that's a good move up. And then you get the break, move to a new high. There's a second entry short counting off the high here. It's a second entry short from here as well. Okay, I can't quit getting interruptions here, but notice from there it's a second entry short too. But the main thing is you got your first two swings, it's right off the trend line, it's a second entry short, it's a failed second entry long. Look how bearish it is. You may not have caught this trade though. I mean, it gapped, it looks like a whole tick, maybe two ticks right there. The low of that bar is 78.75, and the high of that one, no, it's just one tick there. So that one gapped the one tick. And notice what it did. It gaps over that EMA. So you may not have caught that trade. You know, it was straight to the bottom, and then it bounces, and it's right off that trend line again. It confirms it. Gives you a nice bearish, bullish bar. It's a little bit of failed break lower again from those little matching lows across there. And so I like it back to the upper side of this trend line right here. But this is a secondary trend working down in a bigger two-tiered trend that's working up in a bigger trading range. So you got to remember there's different levels here, and you're working at different levels. But when it bounced right there, that's a good entry to figure to catch it back to here. And when you get an overshoot, a lot of times you'll get the break soon thereafter. It pushed down one more time before you got the break, but there's the break right there. And there is a second entry short. This is right before 2 o'clock, so honestly, you could have gone short right there. It's a little small bar, low risk, so I'll circle that one too. Notice the new low, you're coming back, first entry, pull back, second entry, it's a little failed break higher again. So there's another short right there. So even though not a lot of movement today, there's still a lot of really good trades today. It's pretty straightforward, pretty clear. What most people start getting messed up is when it starts going sideways like this. And people just get indecisive. They don't know what to do. And they just start looking for trades and they mess up. And if I hadn't said this in a while, or you hadn't ever heard me say this, whenever you're unsure and you don't know what's going on, that's the worst time in the world to take a trade. Never guess, because if you're guessing, you're gambling, and if you gamble, what normally happens? You're going to lose. So we're not gamblers. We want to know what's going on before we want to enter. And so if you don't know what's going on, get up and take a break. If it gets slow, like right here, this might have been a good time to take a break. And waited, it started at, this bar closed at 9:21, and we didn't get the break lower with a chance to go long until 10:11. So that's about 40 minutes you had to sit there. Of course, there is a short in there. So if sometimes you just got to be patient. But anytime you don't know what's going on and you're unsure, don't guess, because we're not gamblers. If you start gambling, you're going to lose money. I can guarantee it. Gamblers lose money in this business. Only people that make money are people that are confident in their reading of the chart and that they're patient and they wait for the setups that happen usually at the key entry points. And I'll say it again, where are the key entry points? Along these trend lines, these important support and resistance. And the EMA is one of those as well. So you'll see there's a few setups at the EMA. When you get the EMA and the trend line running congruently, like right in here, that's where you really get some good entries. There's not a really good example of it today. Like right here coming down, there probably would have been a trend line right in there. But there's not really a good example of it today. But when this trend line is running at a 45-degree angle and that EMA is running right along with it, and every time prices come back to it, that's generally a great place to enter. So, but that's pretty much it for today. There's no sense in dragging this out. It's a relatively straightforward day, and I'm not going to drag it out anymore. I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.